I feel like this was a list that I was gonna make at some point, but since 2021 is Pokemon's 25th anniversary, I'd say now is the perfect time to finally count down my top 20 favorite Pokemon. Now keep in mind that we're inching ever so closer to 900 Pokemon, and we'll probably exceed that by the time Pokemon Legends Arceus releases in January. So not only was this list extremely difficult to make, my opinions can also change wildly. So just because this is how I rank these Pokemon today, does not mean that I stand by this list day by day. Hell, right before I started making this video, I rearranged some of my picks. Do keep in mind though that since there are 20 Pokemon I'm discussing today, I am going to go through these rather quickly. But without further ado, let's finally get to the list. Just barely missing the cutoff is Leafeon. Now, let me just say that all of the evolutions are wonderful and adorable in their own right, but I feel like Leafeon is one of the more underrated ones. Sure, a physical attacking, pure grass type might not sound all that exciting at first, but it does what it's meant to do pretty well. But Leafeon's design really sells it for me, as the top half of its ears and most of its tail are actual leaves. Though I really do wish this Pokemon got fall-like colors for its shiny. That was such a missed opportunity in my opinion. That said, this Pokemon as a whole has grown on me in very recent memory, enough to make the cut for this video. Number 19 is a more recent Pokemon, and that is Toxicity. Can I first say that I love the idea of Toxicity? Having Toxel evolve into a different form of Toxicity depending on its nature sounds pretty awesome on paper. Not to mention both are essentially members of a rock band, and I think that is also really cool. And that's not even mentioning that both forms are essentially combined for its Gigantamax form, which is by far one of the best ones from Sword and Shield. And believe it or not, this Pokemon has actually recently become my new favorite poison type, dethroning Salazzle, another Pokemon that I really like a lot. But Toxicity, letter 1 form, is a fantastic Pokemon through and through. Going from one Galar Pokemon to another Galar Pokemon for number 18, which is Bolton. Now while I was making my list, I was pretty surprised to see that Bolton happened to be my favorite Pokemon from Sword and Shield. Yes, even beating out other popular Pokemon from the region like Inteleon, Centiskorch, and even Cinderace. But there's just something about Bolton that I just love. Not to mention, it evolves from Yamper, another one of my favorite Pokemon from Sword and Shield, which sadly did not make the list. Also, I know this is a small detail I doubt many people will actually care about, but I just love Bolton's cry, and that won't be the only time you'll hear me compliment a Pokemon's cry in this video. Number 17 is another K9 Pokemon, this one being Lycanroc. Now, there is some irony in me having 2 dog Pokemon in a row, and that's the fact that in real life, I'm still kind of afraid of dogs. But Lycanroc, no matter what form you have, it's just an awesome Pokemon. Now if I had to just pick one, it would absolutely be its Dusk form. And no, it's not just because of Ash's Lycanroc in the anime, he's still a good pupper though. But like I said, all of them look amazing, and all of them are plenty capable, despite the fact that Rockruff is found relatively early in the Alola games. So any one of these forms are going to serve very well on anyone's team, and it's just one of Alola's best Pokemon in general. We're at number 16, now we haven't even talked about a water type Pokemon yet, despite the fact that water is my favorite type. Well, let's finally fix that by talking about Piplup. Out of all the starter Pokemon out there, this one is by far my favorite, and it has always been a favorite of mine ever since I first chose Piplup as my starter in my very first playthrough of Diamond back in 2007. I've always been a big fan of penguins too, and Piplup is just so damn cute. Not to mention Dawn's Piplup in the anime is so rightfully iconic. It's just a great Pokemon in general, and by far one of the best starter Pokemon ever created. If there was any time for me to say for going from one extreme to another, my number 15 spot couldn't be a better time to say that, because next up is Giratina. This right here is my favorite legendary Pokemon. It's so freaking badass with 2 amazing forms and, in my opinion, one of the best shinies ever made. And that's not even counting the way you first encountered Giratina in Pokemon Platinum, which is just freaking excellent. This Pokemon is just awesome all the way through, and I don't see this thing being replaced by another legendary from my favorite anytime soon. If you couldn't tell that I love Sinnoh, then number 14 will tell you, because we have our third Pokemon from Sinnoh in a row in the form of Staraptor. Yes, before you ask, I do personally believe that this is the best regional bird. Yeah, Talonflame and Corviknight are also awesome, but Staraptor is just in a class of its own. The design is badass as hell for an early game Pokemon, it's actually capable in battle, and of course, it's a normal flying type that still gets access to close combat. If you don't have that move and Brave Bird on your Staraptor, then you're just using it wrong. I'm sorry, but I don't make the rules around here. Continuing the Sinnoh train once again at number 13 as we go to Luxray for my next pick. Electric is another one of my favorite types, and Luxray happens to be my favorite electric type. I feel like this is a Pokemon that has gotten better over time as more and more electric type moves become available for it to use. It's yet another early game Pokemon from Sinnoh that is actually worth using in a playthrough, which just goes to show how well designed the Sinnoh Dex is. At least in Platinum, and hopefully bringing Diamond and Shining Pearl. Luxray also happens to have another one of my all-time favorite shinies, as the bright yellow contrasts so well with the black on its body. It's just another awesome Pokemon overall. Number 12? Okay, jokes aside. Next up is Garchomp. Sinnoh was absolutely blessed, but also cursed, with one of the best pseudo-legends ever created. And Cynthia absolutely does this Pokemon justice, because it's just as strong as hers, and the community made it out to be. Being a pseudo though, it can be a little tough to keep up with the rest of your team's levels, but its sheer power makes up for it. Not to mention, this Pokemon got a pretty freaking sweet Mega Evolution in Gen 6, which incidentally also fixed its shiny, because oh my god, regular shiny Garchomp is one of the worst shinies ever made. Garchomp itself though, it's an amazing Pokemon, and it would be hard to be let down by this thing at all. Sliding ahead at number 11 is Zoroark. Hands down my favorite Dark-type Pokemon, period, and also my favorite Pokemon from Gen 5. I feel like this Pokemon is also pretty underrated, as it seems to get overshadowed a lot of the time, especially with other Pokemon like Lucario. But come on, you cannot deny that this Pokemon looks freaking fantastic. And using its signature ability, Illusion, during the playthrough is so damn satisfying to pull off. And I do also want to give a very brief shout out to my friend Aiden, as it was them that got me to love Zoroark as much as I do. And what a great Pokemon to have as their favorite. Starting off the top 10 is another Pokemon that I feel like is really underrated, and that is Auroras. Ever since I first used this Pokemon in Gen 6, I've always loved this thing. It is such a beautiful design with an amazing cry and a spectacular shiny. Sure, its type combo does not do it any favors at all, but I don't care about that at all. This also happens to be my favorite fossil Pokemon as well, and this is just one of those Pokemon that I always enjoy using in a playthrough whenever I get the chance. Next up at number 9 is, surprisingly enough, the only Pokemon from Gen 3 to make the list, and that is Flygon. Like Zoroark, Flygon tends to also get overlooked a lot in its own region from what I've noticed. Then again, Hoenn has some amazing Pokemon in general, including 2 awesome pseudos in the same region, which incidentally kind of leaves Flygon in the dust, unfortunately. And that's a shame. This is another Pokemon that has grown on me over the years, and I feel like this is actually one of the more unique dragon types ever made. Like, come on, it's a freaking antlion! How cool is that? And I've noticed that I tend to enjoy cheering on for the underdog, because I actually prefer using Flygon over Salamence when it comes to using a dragon type in a Hoenn playthrough. Following that, at number 8 is another evolution, and that is Sylveon. And spoiler alert, this isn't the last evolution that we will be seeing on this list. In terms of all the evolutions, Sylveon is a pretty iconic one. Like I said when I was talking about Leafeon, all of the evolutions are fantastic in their own way, and Sylveon is no exception to that rule. Now, we could joke about how this is the cutest Dragon Slayer all we want, but there's no denying just how impactful Sylveon is. And yes, it really is as cute as so many people have made it out to be. Not to mention, it also has one of the best shinies out of all the evolutions out there. And on top of all that, this Pokemon has actually since become my new favorite of Gen 6. Yes, even being a Greninja. We're not done talking about evolutions yet, because number 7 is going to go to my personal favorite evolution, Glaceon. This is by far the most underrated out of all of the evolutions in my opinion. Many people like to give it crap because you get it way too late in Sinnoh, and not being all that useful as a pure ice type. But I don't think it deserves that hate. It's a great Pokemon that has a really cool design. See what I did there? And I feel like it's not as limiting as some people make it out to be. As I feel like this Pokemon can truly be great if you just give it a fair chance. And I'm going to be doing exactly that in Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl. Inching ahead at number 6 is Ninetales. This Pokemon is just so good, no matter what form you're talking about. I love Cantonian Ninetales, but I think I love Alolan Ninetales a little more. Even though I do think Cantonian Ninetales has a better shiny. However, I think Alolan Ninetales is a bit more useful in battle. You see what I mean about how well designed both forms of Ninetales are? Not to mention, both of them are freaking gorgeous. Absolutely love both designs. On top of that, I tend to go for the version that has the Ninetales line, especially if I'm doing a replay of another Pokemon game. It tends to be a Pokemon I tend to prioritize when deciding the team for each game, at least if it's not a brand new one. Starting off the top 5 is Rapidash, yet another Pokemon that has grown on me over the years. The fiery mane on Cantonian Rapidash just looks awesome, and Galarian Rapidash is beautiful as hell. Strangely, I don't even remember why I even started to love Rapidash as much as I do. It must have been random or something, I don't know. I'm not even the biggest fan of horses in real life, which is so freaking ironic about this whole thing. But Rapidash itself is fantastic. But if I had to choose one of its forms, I think I would go with Galarian Rapidash, even though I do feel like Cantonian Rapidash slightly edges out its Galarian form in the battle department. But both forms are great regardless. Edging ahead of Rapidash is incidentally its pre-evolution, Ponyta. Much like Rapidash, my love for Ponyta seemed to have happened out of nowhere many years ago. But Ponyta is just so cute, regardless of what form you're talking about. It can be a struggle to use given how late it evolves, but it can be a useful Pokemon if used right. Like I said with Rapidash, both forms of Ponyta are just great in general, but I think I do like Galarian Ponyta more. It's my favorite Galarian form and was my most anticipated Pokemon in Sword and Shield. Not to mention, it was Galarian Ponyta's reveal that got me to choose Pokemon Shield over Sword. Speaking of which, that reveal for Galarian Ponyta was amazing in my opinion, even though it was a drag to watch live. The concept and execution was absolutely there, and to this day, it's still my favorite reveal of any Pokemon, regional form or a completely new one. And I haven't even touched upon just how amazing Shiny Ponyta is. Though I do feel like, even though Galarian Ponyta is a good Shiny Cantonian Ponyta is just a top tier Shiny with those blue flames. It's just freaking beautiful, and I just can't get enough of this Pokemon. It's one of those Pokemon that is associated with me whenever I ask people about what Pokemon they think about when they think of me. And now we've come down to the top 3. These are the Pokemon that I just simply won't shut up about. And are the Pokemon that I pretty much talk about on a daily basis. If you know me well, then these 3 in particular should not surprise you at all. Well, the placement may come as a surprise to some of you. But what are those 3? Well, let's talk about them. Taking the bronze is Vulpix. This, in my opinion, is the cutest Pokemon ever made. The fox is my favorite animal, and this Pokemon is also partly responsible for my love for it too. Both forms of Vulpix are perfect in their own regard. So much so that it's actually really difficult for me to choose one over the other. But I will say it was Lily's Alolan Vulpix, Snowy, in the Sun and Moon anime, that kind of helped spark my love for this Pokemon. Regardless, Vulpix is just an adorable Pokemon that never fails to put a huge smile on my face and brighten my mood. For the longest time, I was dead set on what my top 2 were, but after thinking about it pretty recently, I found myself favoring one Pokemon over the other now, and that's kind of what inspired me to make this video in the first place. If you know me well, then this may come as a surprise to you. But regardless, let's talk about them, starting off at number 2, which is Empoleon. Yeah, we're not done talking about Sinnoh yet, even this high on the list. Now, just because this is no longer my number 1 favorite Pokemon, does not mean I don't love Empoleon any less. It was the first Pokemon I ever raised on my own, back when Diamond and Pearl were new. So my love for Empoleon was definitely influenced by Molson nostalgia. But it's a freaking Emperor Penguin, and I just think that's so badass. Not to mention, it still has a very unique type combo in the form of Water Steel. A combo that no other Pokemon still has to this day, which no doubt puts more points in Empoleon's favor. That said, I really do wish Shiny Empoleon was better, because I just don't care for the teal. At the end of the day though, it really is just a nitpick, because the rest of the Empoleon is just excellent in my opinion, and I don't see it sliding out of my top 3 anytime soon. So, what is taking the gold at number 1? This one took a lot of time for me to think about, but it was this Pokemon recently dethroned Empoleon as my favorite, and the very reason why I wanted to make this video in the first place. But regardless, my number 1 pick, my favorite Pokemon overall, is Primarina. This Pokemon has kind of resonated with me more and more ever since I first used it when Sun and Moon were new. It came out at kind of a transitional point in my life, and Primarina seemed to have always been by my side since then. In my eyes, this Pokemon is perfect. I really wouldn't change a single thing about it, including the design. Primarina proves that not every starter Pokemon has to evolve into something badass just to remain an amazing Pokemon. Not to mention, it's just freaking adorable as hell. And also, when I say that Primarina has been by my side, I really do mean it. As not only do I have a plush of it, but I've also had my shiny Primarina named Wish in my Pokeball Plus ever since the Alola starters got added to Sword and Shield. Speaking of that, it was also the subject of the first comic I ever made. It's just a Pokemon that has been associated with me for a long time. Primarina just means a lot to me personally, and I honestly couldn't have asked for anything better to be my favorite Pokemon. I love this thing, and I don't see that ever changing for a long time. Primarina, in my eyes, is just simply perfection. Phew, that was quite an exhaustive list. Like I said, there were so many Pokemon that I just wish I could have included on this list. But there's only so many slots I can fit in without making this video as long enough as it is. When you have been playing Pokemon for over a decade, it can really be tough to decide what are your true favorites. But with all that being said, I want to hear from you guys. What is your personal favorite Pokemon? Definitely be sure to let me know in the comments down below. And that's gonna do it for me in this video. I want to thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. This is DSPixStarHerded, signing off.